times of sharing. Durian ASEAN.
Hi everyone, you're with me, Gowri here. We are doing our ASEAN Breakfast Call segment. It's 9:15 a.m. So today I have Mr. K. Shanmuga here to join me. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm well, thanks.
Okay, he's a lawyer with the Pusat, Rakyat, LoyarBurok. So he's going to talk to us about unilateral child conversion in Malaysia. So, Mr. Shan, why don't you tell us a little introduction to what is the unilateral child conversion?
In Malaysia, when we talk about conversion, it's normally conversion to Islam.
Okay.
Of course, other religions, there are also conversions to by one parent of their children to another religion. But that doesn't really cause a great deal of problems in terms of the law. But what happens normally is in these situations is when there's a couple, they're married as non-Muslims, and one of them decides to convert to Islam.
Okay.
Either the husband or the wife. Most of the cases that have come to the limelight have been the husband basically converting, the father converting the children.
Okay.
And what happens is the father converts to Islam and he takes the children, or sometimes doesn't even take the children, but goes to the Islamic Religious Affairs Department and sort of gets the children converted to Islam as well. Even though the mother does not consent, sometimes even without the children there, or when the children are extremely young, a few months old or something like that. So that's what we mean when we say unilateral conversion.
Okay. So you are saying that the father could actually just go to this religious department without the children and convert them, is that right?
Yeah, that has been happening.
So what does he have to do? Does he just sign a few forms and it's done, or how does it work?
Yeah, it seems to be that's all that happens. Yeah, he just has to show the birth certificate, I suppose, that shows that he is the father, and they convert the children.
Okay.
I think the rationale for this from the Islamic standpoint is that what they're saying is where it is children below the age of discernment, below sort of the age in Islamic law where they are deemed to be able to know their own mind, which is I think 9 for girls and 15 for boys or something like that.
Okay.
Below that age, the kids sort of automatically are deemed converted to Islam.
Right.
Under the Islamic group in Malaysia, that's their understanding of Islamic law. But that's not what, in Malaysia we have laws made by the various state assemblies, the state legislatures on Islamic law. And those state Islamic laws actually require a conversion process. They require the child to be present. They require the child to utter the 2 affirmations of faith, the dual kalima shahada, they call it.
Okay.
And sort of basically the child itself is converting to Islam, and the parent just consents.
Right.
So there is that slight difference between what is in the written law in Malaysia and what is in the Islamic department's understanding of pure Islamic law.
All right. So how frequent are these cases in Malaysia?
There have not been that many that have come to the limelight.
Oh, all right.
So there are only, I think, 5 or 6 major cases that have come up in the public spotlight.
Okay.
But there are many cases where I understand the NGOs and all have received complaints where a husband threatens the wife. When they're having a marital problem, the husband will basically tell the wife, look, you better give me a divorce. You better not ask for too much money from me. Otherwise, I'm going to convert your children and you're never going to see them again, or something like that.
Oh.
So what I understand is people have complained whether they actually go through with it, we don't know.
Okay. So you said that these cases sometimes go to the NGOs, right?
Yeah.
So what are the NGOs that took up this problem?
Well, the various religious NGOs. So
okay.
in my case, most of my work was coming from the Hindu Sangam, which is the organization of all the Hindu religion. And a lot of people, strangely enough, for whatever reason, this problem seems to be most prevalent amongst Indians and amongst Hindus generally. All those that have come to light and have come to the forefront in the media have been Indian Hindus who have been affected. But it also happens to Chinese couples. It also happens to Sikh couples. So all those religious NGOs. Sometimes it comes through the Women's Aid Organization.
Okay.
And a lot of women go to the Women's Aid Organization or other women's groups like the Sisters in Islam and people like that.
Okay. So what are the laws that we have in Malaysia regarding this issue?
Oh, okay. As I said, in Malaysia we have 13 states, right? Each state has got its own sort of mini parliament. It's called a state legislative assembly, the ADUN, right? And so each state has got a law on conversion into Islam.
Oh, okay.
Almost all of them say that what I said just now, that the person who wants to convert must say that the dua kalima shahada, basically affirming that there is no God but Allah and that Muhammad is his prophet. Right? They have to say those words in Arabic. They have to be of sound mind. They have to do it of free will and all the rest of it. If you are under 18, your parent must give consent.
Right.
So that's where the difficulty comes. So parent is normally written in the singular, and so the dispute in the courts has been, does that mean that one parent is good enough?
Okay.
And it gets even more complicated because the Malay version of the law, which in Malaysia is the authoritative version of the law, the Malay version sometimes uses the Malay words for mother or father. Sometimes it says mother and father.
Okay.
Sometimes it just says the equivalent of parent, which is ibu bapa.
Right.
So that causes even more complications.
Okay. So it seems that there is a bill that's been passed that allows only one parent to give consent for the conversion of a child, right?
No.
No?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. There are many laws that are passed, not just one.
Okay.
And our federal constitution itself, it uses the word parent in the singular, not parents. But what the lawyers argue is that, in the law, we very often use things in the singular.
Right.
But depending on context, it can also mean plural.
Okay.
And we are saying that it cannot be that something so fundamental as a child's religion, you can just completely negate the other parents' rights, the other parents' wishes.
So it seems that they are also trying to withdraw this bill now. Is that right?
I think the bill, what you may be talking about is law reforms done a few years ago, which was supposed to correct all these things.
Yeah, I think that's the one I'm referring to.
Yeah, and that bill actually was supposed to do it the other way around. It was supposed to make clear that both mother and father would have to consent.
Okay.
As I understand it. But what happened was that it was the then Minister Nazri Aziz was in charge of it. He was then the Minister of Law. And for whatever reason, they decided that this was something that needed the Conference of Rulers to look at the laws.
Okay.
The Malay rulers, the sultans. And it basically has not moved from there since then.
All right. So do you think that the people in Malaysia are aware of these things that are happening?
If they read the newspapers or the online media, they must be aware.
Okay.
A few years ago, it was front page news when the first of these cases, which was a case called Shanmuga,
Okay.
and then subsequently there was another case called Subhashini, and now there is the case Indira Gandhi, and most recently there's another case in Seremban called where the woman's name is called Deepa, the mother's name.
Deepa,
So
is it?
Deepa, yeah.
Okay.
So it has been going on for some time.
So can you tell us a bit about this Deepa case, since it's the most recent one?
Same thing, the Hindu couple married.
Okay.
The husband converts to Islam, and the husband takes the children and converts the children to Islam as well.
Okay.
And what they do is the husband then goes to the Sharia Court. Because, in Malaysia we have the civil courts, which are for all Malaysians, and we have Sharia courts, which are just for Muslims. The husband goes to the Sharia Court and gets a custody order over the children.
Okay.
And so what then happens is when the mother goes to the civil courts to get custody, the husband said, look, you can't do that. The Sharia Court has already decided.
Oh.
So in the Deepa case, what happened was the High Court judge, which I think was very brave and very correct, she decided that Deepa ought to get custody.
Okay.
And she ruled that the Sharia Court order was not effective. It was basically, she said the Sharia Court order had no jurisdiction to make these orders.
Okay.
So that was there. Then a few days after the court decision, so basically the children were given back to the mother. A few days after the court decision, the father came and took the children back.
Right.
Basically forcibly took the children, one child back, the son back. And so now the mother has the daughter, the father has the son, and the matter is still in the courts.
Okay.
I mean, in the interest, full disclosure, after now, Deepa has also come to me to be her lawyer.
Okay.
So, what I say may be a little one-sided, like,
all right. So are you taking up her case? Yeah?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay. You are.
Yeah.
So did the authorities do anything when that child was taken away from her?
No, this is the one where the IGP said that this is actually just a civil case, civil dispute.
Oh, okay.
So the police can't do anything.
Is that true, or that's just...
Well, there is a slight truth to it.
Okay.
There are two elements to it, because Deepa also had something called the interim protection order. Basically, this was under Domestic Violence Act because she said the husband had been violent to her. So when the husband came and took the child away, he was perhaps he was in breach of that interim protection order. Secondly, the way it was done, I think there was a slight tussle. Deepa got hurt. So there were things that the police could have investigated.
All right.
And also, this was a very unusual case in that the court had just made the order and then the husband came and snatched the child away.
Right.
So, ordinarily sometimes the police are supposed to also just help to keep the peace.
Okay.
And if the policeman had gone and advised the husband, the husband may have said, all right, I'll pass the child back.
Right. Okay.
So even if technically it is not within the police's jurisdiction, it is something perhaps they could have advised or they could have helped to sort out. So anyway, now what's going on is Deepa is taking the necessary court action that would get the police involved by, basically we have something called the Child Act in Malaysia.
Okay.
And she's going, applying for a Child Act order to get the children back.
So what does this Child Act order do?
The Child Act order basically tells the person who has the child, look, give it back. And the order actually tells the police help to get the child back.
Okay, so it actually tells the police to take actions. Okay.
Yeah.
So do you think she could have gotten like a restriction order against him? Is that allowed in this case?
Restriction meaning not for him not to take the child.
Yeah, as in he has to stay away or like...
Yes. I believe she actually does have that already.
Oh, okay.
As in, the interim protection order.
Mm-hmm.
But that is only until the police take action on the domestic violence case.
Okay.
So it's slightly different.
Okay, so I understand you're also working on the Indira Gandhi case at the moment, right?
Yeah.
So you're with the council?
Yes. Basically, Indira Gandhi went to her local member of parliament, who was YB M. Kulasegran in Ipoh.
Okay.
And he did the case, and then at some point, because he knew I did these kinds of cases, he asked me to assist to argue the matter.
Okay.
So I'm the one in court, sort of making the arguments.
Right.
While he's the one dealing with the client and dealing with the courts.
Okay.
In the administrative sense.
Okay, so we're going to take a short break right now. So when we come back, we'll talk more about the case.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Voice of sharing. Durian ASEAN.
Hi everyone, we're back on the ABC ASEAN Breakfast Call with Mr. Shan. So, hi, welcome back. So, for the second half, we'll be talking more about the case that you're working on, about the Indira Gandhi case. So maybe you can give us a little background as well, to those who don't know, maybe like just a little introduction to the case.
Oh, okay. Same again. Hindu couple. They were married. They had 3 kids.
Mm-hmm.
I think one was 8, one was 7, and the youngest was 11 months old.
All right.
Around that time, they had marital problems. The husband converted to Islam and converted all 3 children to Islam as well, in their absence.
Okay.
And in the wife's absence, without telling the wife.
Right.
He then secretly went off to the Ipoh Sharia Court and got orders. He got orders from the Sharia Court, basically getting a divorce. Right. Even though the wife was not represented, he got himself a divorce in the Sharia Court, and he got a separate order giving him custody of the 3 children.
Oh.
So the wife had, in the meanwhile, applied to the Civil High Court. After a long argument, the husband came and showed the Sharia Court orders. The High Court judge in Ipoh, Datuk Wan Afra, she basically disregarded the Sharia Court order and said, look, the best interest of the children, they're all young, they must be with the mother. And she interviewed the children, she interviewed the father, she interviewed the mother, and she gave the order. Unfortunately, that youngest child, the 11-month-old child, the husband kept, and until today has refused to give back to the mother.
Okay.
So we are taking action in the Ipoh High Court for contempt of court, and also that recovery order under the Child Act that I mentioned earlier. So that's ongoing. I think there's a decision about that case coming up at the end of May.
All right.
Separately, what the mother did also is the mother filed a judicial review. Basically, it's a kind of court action where whenever the government does something that you say is wrong, you want to challenge it, you go by way of judicial review.
Okay.
And in this case, it was the decision by the Ipoh government to register the 3 children's conversions.
All right.
So we filed that case. It took quite a number of years for it to be finally heard.
Okay.
Eventually, it was heard, and last year in July, it was decided by a judge in Ipoh called Lee Swee Seng. So Justice Lee, I think for the first time ever, quashed the 3 conversion certificates.
All right.
Basically, he cancelled them and said they were null and void.
Mm-hmm.
And his reasoning was quite interesting. Number one, he said that the mother must be consulted, the mother must give her consent.
Okay.
So basically, both parents must consent to conversion of a child. Secondly, he said that under the Ipoh law, he confirmed what I said earlier. The Ipoh law, the child itself must come and the child itself must utter the words that, in Arabic.
Oh, that. Okay.
Yeah, the 2 affirmations of faith, called it the Dua Kalimah Shahada.
Kalimah Shahada.
Yeah, that's right. So he said that according to the Ipoh law, that was a requirement. And in addition, you needed the consent of the 2 parents.
Right.
And so he said that didn't happen here. And finally, which was also very interesting, he said that, look, Malaysia has signed 2 international conventions. One is on the Convention on the Rights of the Child. The other is the Convention to Eliminate Discrimination Against Women.
Okay.
Right? And so under both those conventions, this conversion process was illegal because you had a scenario where the child's rights were disregarded. You were converting the child of a Hindu religion into a minority religion into the majority religion, and you were not getting both parents to consent. So he said he basically said that the government cannot act contrary to their position and to their commitments under international law.
Okay.
So that was also quite a significant decision. Because in Malaysia, all this while, the courts have been very reluctant to import international obligations. What they say is, yes, the government can make international obligations, but until Parliament makes a law, the courts can't enforce those international obligations.
Okay.
So this was one of the rare occasions. There have been others, but this, I think, the second or third time that international obligation has been used in this way.
Okay. So when the judge pronounced it null and void and squashed the certificates, was the husband there?
No, the husband was not there. His lawyers were there.
Okay.
His lawyers were there. His lawyers have always been present.
Okay.
But the husband himself has not been seen for more than quite a number of years now. I can't remember the exact number of years.
All right. So we have no idea where he is.
No, we don't, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are the authorities looking for him?
No, lah.
No. Okay.
No. So, until I get my order under the Child Act,
Okay.
the police are not under any obligation. So after that, they are under an obligation to investigate. I hope they give us their cooperation.
Oh, all right. So what is the mother doing at the moment? What actions is she taking? Or
she's just looking after the 2 children that she has,
okay.
and is missing her 3rd child terribly.
Okay.
I think now she hasn't seen the child for almost 4 or 5 years, if I'm not mistaken. And it was taken away from her while the child was still being breastfed.
Oh, right.
So it was quite a tragic story. She's just fighting the case in court.
Okay.
And looking after the 2 elder children and hoping that the youngest child is being looked after.
Okay. So this Court of Appeal in Ipoh?
That was the High Court in Ipoh.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the High Court in Ipoh, the government of Perak, the government of Malaysia, and the husband were the respondents on the other side.
Right.
They have all appealed to the Court of Appeal.
Okay.
Which is now pending a hearing. I think yesterday it came up in the Court of Appeal, but the court had too many cases yesterday. So they've adjourned it to a date in August.
Right.
And directed that this be the only case for hearing on that day. So that it will definitely be heard.
Okay. So if they manage to track down this father, what are the possible consequences that he would be facing?
He's at the moment we are seeking an order that he's in contempt of court.
Okay.
And basically asking that he be committed to prison.
All right.
And I think that is the only penalty really.
Right. So contempt of court meaning he disobeyed the court order lah.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So can you tell us more about maybe what the two other children are going through, or are they still Muslims, or have they converted back since the squashing of the certificates?
Well, the children have always been Hindu.
Okay.
They've always been, going to the temple. They've been living a Hindu life.
Uh-huh.
It's just that the father went and got that piece of paper
Right.
that says they are Muslim.
Okay.
But they've never ever, the father never taught them Islam, never sort of came to see them, to teach them or anything like that.
Oh, so they never actually practiced it.
No.
Okay.
Because it was all, it was just a piece of paper, that's all.
Mm-hmm.
And so now they have always been Hindu, and they are still Hindu. Mm-hmm. And now the piece of paper that says that they're Muslim has been cancelled and declared null and void.
Okay.
So it remains to be seen what the higher courts say lah.
Oh. So does the Sharia Court have a say in this? Like when he taught the certificates, did they react to it?
He must go to the Sharia courts, but our argument, which the High Court, both the High Courts agreed, both in the custody case and in the judicial review case, is that the Sharia Court really has no jurisdiction in this.
Oh, okay.
Of course, the husband's lawyers disagree, and the government's lawyers disagree, very strangely.
Okay.
And they're all saying that the Sharia Court is the correct court to decide if the conversion is valid or not.
But that's not true, is it?
Well, I mean, I don't understand how that can be true when everyone accepts the Sharia Court. A non-Muslim cannot go to the Sharia Court.
Right.
And the mother is a necessary party. I mean, unless the government is saying the mother need not be heard.
Uh-huh.
So I'm a bit confused. But of course, these are arguments being taken in court. And the government, that's the position the government is taking in the courts.
Okay, so what is your expected outcome from this case? What are you hoping to achieve?
Well, okay, so this is where the Pusat Rakyat LoyarBurok comes about.
Okay.
We have a website as well called LoyarBurok.com. And what has happened is, this case, Indira herself has accepted is a case that is larger than just her personal problems. She's like a symbol for everyone in her position. And so, because of this case, of course, I do the argument in court.
Right.
But other people sort of blog about it, write about it, and things like that. So more and more people are becoming aware of this kind of problems.
Okay.
So it's useful for that. And going forward, I'm hoping that those laws that you said, you were talking about earlier, the bills in Parliament, I'm hoping that the government will resurrect them and just correct the law so that everything is clear and these problems don't keep arising.
Okay.
Because from what we hear, it's causing a lot of non-Muslim families a lot of problems. They're living in fear. They're living in a state of confusion, in a state of because at any time the husband or the wife can convert to Islam and completely mixes up the law that is supposed to be applied to their marriage.
Okay.
So people having marital difficulties are in a great deal of uncertainty.
All right. So earlier you said that the father just went to the Sharia court and got the divorce paper, right?
Yeah.
So that actually, it works that way lah. It's possible.
It doesn't work that way.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't work. It's not supposed to work that way.
Right. Okay.
So the mother went to the civil court. She used that one. We didn't act for her. She went to the Legal Aid Bureau.
All right.
And got a divorce in the civil court.
Okay.
So a civil marriage, it can only be ended by a divorce in the civil court.
Okay.
So the Sharia courts also, I think, should not be doing this. They should not be, there's in fact a specific section in the Sharia enactment that says that Sharia courts should not make orders that affect non-Muslim rights. So, they shouldn't be giving orders against a non-Muslim in this fashion.
Okay. So I have an article here that says that, like I said earlier, Muhyiddin said he's going to withdraw the bill that says that only one parent can give consent.
Yeah.
But it says until an agreement is reached with all the stakeholders. So can you clarify me about who the stakeholders are?
I haven't seen that article.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen that article. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
Perhaps he means the Islamic authorities and the non-Muslim groups.
All right. Okay.
And there will never be agreement between them. Because they're coming at it from a fundamentally very different mindset. Because the Muslim authorities are looking at it purely from what they understand to be Islamic law.
Right.
Which I don't know. That's for them to decide. But for me, it seems to be a very unjust position.
Okay.
And it doesn't take into account the realities of our federal constitution.
Okay.
And doesn't take into account the realities of Malaysian society.
All right.
So they have to, If there is no agreement, the government must take action, and the government must basically do what is consistent with the federal constitution.
And do they have the right to override the Sharia Court?
Parliament, you see, in Malaysia, Sharia Court is a creature of statute.
Okay.
It's created by law. It's not created by the Quran.
All right.
And it's supposed to apply the law that is made by those state assemblies. So it's Parliament. Parliament cannot dictate what the Sharia Court does, but each state assembly can.
All right.
Because state Islamic law is a matter for the states. And so it is within the Selangor, for example, or Penang or Perak or wherever, or Negeri Sembilan, they can make laws. What Parliament can do is they can make certain other laws, and Parliament can make laws for the Muslims in the federal territory.
Okay.
So what is really required is a mixture of laws affecting the Sharia Court.
Okay.
Because the Sharia Court has, in my personal view, the Sharia Court has been overstepping its boundaries. They need to amend the law applicable to Sharia courts to make it crystal clear that they shouldn't be doing that.
Okay.
At the same time, they should be making crystal clear in the laws applicable to non-Muslims, so the divorce, the family, the marriage law, the divorce law and all that, that all these questions can only be decided by the Civil High Court and cannot be decided by the Sharia Court.
Right.
And of course, they must make it clear that both mother and father must give consent.
Okay. So I think that's all the time that we have for today.
Okay.
So thank you very much for joining us and for clarifying us on all these issues regarding child conversion.
Sure. Thank you for having me on.
Okay, no problem. See you.
Okay. Cheers. Bye.